Beginning Proem of Australia Felix, Book 1 of the Fortunes of Richard Mahony. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Tabithat. Australia Felix by Handel Richardson. Proem. In a shaft on the gravel pits a man had been buried alive. At work in a deep wet hole, he had recklessly omitted to slab the walls of a drive. Uprights and tailors yielded under the lateral pressure, and the rotten earth collapsed, bringing down the roof in its train. The digger fell forward on his face, his ribs jammed across his pick, his arms pinned to his sides, nose and mouth pressed into the sticky mud as into a mask. And over his defenceless body, with a roar that burst his eardrums, broke stupendous masses of earth. His mates at the windlass went staggering back from the belch of violently discharged air. It tore the windsail to strips, sent stones and gravel flying, loosened planks and props. Their shouts drawing no response, the younger and nimbler of the two — he was a mere boy for all his amazing growth of beard — put his foot in the bucket and went down on the rope, kicking off the sides of the shaft with his free foot. A group of diggers, gathering round the pit-head, waited for the tug at the rope. It was quick in coming, and the lad was hauled to the surface. No hope. Both drives had fallen in; the bottom of the shaft was blocked. The crowd melted with a "Poor Bill, God rest his soul," or with a silent shrug. Such accidents were not infrequent. Each man might thank his stars it was not he who lay cooling down below. And so, since no more wash-dirt would be raised from this hole, the party that worked it made off for the nearest grog-shop to wet their throats to the memory of the dead, and to discuss future plans. All but one, a lean and haggard-looking man of some 45, who was known to his comrades as Long Jim. On hearing his mate's report, he had sunk heavily down on a log, and there he sat, a pannikin of raw spirit in his hand, the tears coursing ruts down cheeks scabby with yellow mud, his eyes glassy as marbles with those that had still to fall. He wept, not for the dead man, but for himself. This accident was the last link in a chain of ill luck that had been forging ever since he first followed the diggings. He only needed to put his hand to a thing, and luck deserted it. In all the sinkings he had been connected with, he had not once caught his pick in a nugget, or got the run of a gutter. The bottoms had always proved barren, drives been exhausted without his raising the colour. At the present claim he and his mates had toiled for months, overcoming one difficulty after another. The slabbing, for instance, had cost them infinite trouble. It was roughly done, too, and even after the pins were in, great flakes of earth would come tumbling down from between the joints, on one occasion nearly knocking silly the man who was below. Then, before they had slabbed a depth of 3 times 9, they'd got into water, and in this they had worked for the next 60 feet. They were barely rid of it when the 2 adjoining claims were abandoned, and in came the flood again. This time they had to fly for their lives before it, so rapid was its rise. Not the strongest man could stand in this ice-cold water for more than 3 days on end. The bark slabs stank in it, too, like the skins in a tanner's yard, and they had been forced to quit work till it subsided. He and another man had gone to the hills to hew trees for more slabs, the rest to the grog-shop. From there, when it was feasible to make a fresh start, they had to be dragged, some blind drunk, the rest blind stupid from their booze. That had been the hardest job of any, keeping the party together. They had only been 8 in all, a hand-to-mouth number for a deep wet hole. Then one had died of dysentery, contracted from working constantly in water up to his middle. Another had been nabbed in a manhunt and clapped into the logs. And finally, but a day or 2 back, the 3 men who completed the night shift had deserted for a new rush to the Avoca. Now his pal had gone too. There was nothing left for him, Long Jim, to do but to take his dish and turn fossicker, or even to aim no higher than washing over the tailings rejected by the fossicker. At the thought his tears flowed anew. He cursed the day on which he had first set foot on Ballarat. "It's 'ell for white men, 'ell, that's what it is." "'Ere, 'ave another drink, matey, and forget your bloody troubles."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?